Have you ever walked into a supermarket, looked at the price of something you always buy, and frozen in your tracks thinking, this has to be a mistake? Well, that is exactly what happened to half the world with silver this past year. Not long ago, literally just a few months ago, you could buy an ounce of silver for about $31. It was accessible. It was the poor man's gold, as some bankers disparagingly call it. But you blinked, a year went by, and now you look at the screen, over $80. And here is where that ugly feeling in the pit of your stomach kicks in. That mixture of regret for not buying sooner and total confusion. Because the news tells you the economy is doing well, that inflation is under control. But then you see that a metal, a simple piece of gray metal, tripled its value in the time it takes you to plan a vacation. You're probably asking yourself, is this a bubble? Is it a scam? Or has the world gone crazy? Let me tell you something so you can breathe easy. No, you aren't crazy for feeling like you missed out on something. And no, it is no coincidence that this is happening right now. Your brain is trying to process a brutal economic shift using the rules of the past, but the game has changed. What you are feeling isn't just fear of missing out, or FOMO as they call it now. It is your instinct detecting that the money in your pocket is worth less every second. Today, I'm not going to give you a boring economics class with terms nobody understands. I'm going to explain, as if we were having a coffee, the perfect storm that took silver from $31 to $80. And when you understand this, you will see the world with different eyes. First, we have to reprogram how you see silver. Most people, when they think of silver, think of grandma's ring, antique cutlery, or collectible coins. They think of jewelry. And that is the first mistake. If silver were only for making rings, the price wouldn't have risen like this. What happened this year is that the world slammed into a wall of physical reality. Imagine you are building a house. You need bricks, cement, and wood. But it turns out that for the lights in the house to turn on, you need a secret magic ingredient. Without that ingredient, the house is just a dark cave. That ingredient is silver. Silver is the metal that conducts electricity better than anything else in the known universe at room temperature. Better than copper, better than gold. It is the undisputed champion of energy. And what happened this last year? The whole world decided at the same time to go technological and green. Think about it for a second. Every solar panel you see on a roof needs a silver paste to function. Without silver, they are just useless glass. A normal car uses a little bit of silver, but an electric car uses a whole lot more. And those giant servers that run ChatGPT or Gemini need high-quality silver connectors. So you have China, the United States, and Europe screaming, we want more solar panels, we want more chips, we want more smart missiles. Here comes the simple math problem. Demand ate up the supply. For years, we consumed more silver than we took out of the ground, but we were using the reserves that already existed, Grandpa's savings, so to speak. This year, those savings started to run out. Big tech companies like Samsung, Tesla, or weapons manufacturers don't buy silver to keep it in a safe and wait for the price to go up. They buy it to destroy it. Yes, you heard that right. When they use silver in a missile or a cheap phone that you later throw in the trash, that silver, in small quantities, is lost. It disappears from the market. So the first reason for the jump from $31 to $80 is industrial panic. Factories realized there wasn't enough physical metal for their future plans. And when a factory is afraid of running out of materials, it pays whatever it takes, literally whatever it takes. Now you might say, hey, but if the price went up so much, why don't they just dig faster and get more silver? That would lower the price, right? It's a logical question. It's what your common sense tells you. If apples are expensive, the farmer plants more apple trees. But mining doesn't work like a farm. Imagine I invite you to dinner and tell you, the food is in the kitchen, but the door is locked with 3 padlocks. There is a rabid guard dog, and also the kitchen is 5 kilometers underground. Even if you are very hungry, which would be the demand, and you are willing to pay a lot, getting that food out takes time, effort, and money. Opening a new silver mine takes, on average, 10 to 15 years, from from the moment you find the metal until you extract the first ounce. 15 years. What happened this year is that we are paying the bill for a decade of non-investment. For more than 15 years, because silver was cheap, between $20 or $25, it didn't make sense for miners to look for more. They closed projects, they fired geologists, they fell asleep. Now that the price has skyrocketed to $80, everyone is running to find shovels and pickaxes, but you can't speed up geology. You can't force the earth to spit out silver faster. Plus, there is a key and curious fact that almost no one knows. Most silver doesn't come from silver mines. It comes out accidentally as a byproduct from copper, lead, or zinc mines. If we don't need more lead, we don't mine more silver, even if the price of silver is through the roof. It is a structural problem. It's like wanting to buy only the yolk of an egg, but the farmer tells you he has to crack the whole egg and he doesn't know what to do with the white. This rigidity is what caused the supply to stand still and watch when demand exploded this year, unable to react. And when demand goes up and supply stands still, the price doesn't go up, the price flies. But wait, because if it were just an issue of solar panels, silver would have gone up to $50. Why did it go to over $80? Here we enter the terrain of psychology and fear. Here is where your brain connects with the survival instinct we talked about at the beginning. Let's talk about the elephant in the room: inflation and debt. Your primitive brain knows when something is wrong. Thousands of years ago, if you saw the neighboring tribes start sharpening spears, you got ready. Today, your financial survival instinct activates when you see the government printing bills like they were confetti. In the last year, the debt of nations, especially the United States, grew to levels that are mathematically impossible to pay. What do big investors, countries like China, India, or Russia, and ordinary people do when they see their currency melting like an ice cube in the sun? They seek refuge. They look for something the government cannot print. Historically, that refuge is gold. Gold is the king. But gold was already very expensive, breaking records. So what do people do? They look at gold's little brother, silver. At $30, silver looked like a gift. It was a cheap call option against the financial apocalypse. People started thinking, if the dollar goes to hell, I'd rather have this silver coin in my hand than a piece of paper in the bank. This created a feedback loop. People see inflation, they buy silver to protect themselves, the price goes up. More people see the price rising and feel like they are missing out, and they buy more. People are afraid of poverty, and that fear is the most potent motivator that exists. The jump to $80 isn't just because of solar panels. It is the price of global fear that the paper financial system will break. Silver is the thermometer of distrust in politicians. And finally, we have to talk about something a little more technical, but I promise to keep it super simple. It is the secret reason for the brutal acceleration. It is called the manipulation of the paper market. For decades, the price of silver wasn't decided by exchanging real metal, but by exchanging paper contracts in London and New York. Imagine a car dealership selling tickets to claim a Ferrari. They sell 100 tickets, but in the garage, they only have one real Ferrari. As long as no one comes to pick up the car, everything is fine. The dealership owner gets rich selling thin air. But what happens if one day 5 people show up at the same time saying, "I want my Ferrari now"? The dealership panics. They have to go out to the street to buy Ferraris at any price to keep their promise, or they will go to jail. That happened with silver this year. Many banks had sold paper silver, basically promises, betting that the price would go down. But when industrialists like Samsung or Tesla and countries like India and China went to ask for the real physical silver, oops, the warehouses were emptier than they said. This provoked a bank run, but in metal. Those who held paper promises ran to exchange them for real metal, and the banks had to pay brutal premiums to get it. The jump from 31 to 80 was, in large part, the sound of desperate bankers trying to cover their lost bets. It was the revenge of physical reality over financial fantasy. So there you have it. Silver didn't go from $31 to $80 by magic, nor by chance. It went up because 3 hurricanes collided at the same time. 1. Industrial necessity. The green and technological world doesn't work without it. 2. Geological scarcity, since years have gone by without investment in new mines. 3. Financial refuge. People are fleeing paper money that loses value. Now, let's go back to how you feel. Maybe you feel you arrived late, that at $80 it is already too expensive. And it's normal to feel that. Your brain compares today's price with yesterday's. It is the comparison theory working against you. But experts who look at the fundamentals say that if we adjust for real inflation since the 80s, silver could still have a long way to go. Note, this is not investment advice. It is historical analysis. The important thing here isn't whether you buy or don't buy tomorrow. The important thing is that you are no longer a confused spectator. Understanding why these things happen gives you a superpower, which is peace of mind. The next time you see a scandalous headline about prices, you won't feel that knot in your stomach or that anxiety of, I don't understand anything. You will know that it is simply supply and demand settling scores with years of manipulation. Don't feel bad for not buying at 31. Almost no one did. But feel proud that today you understand why it is worth 80. That puts you ahead of 99% of the population who still thinks silver is just for making rings and forks. Your brain now has the correct information. You are no longer operating with old software. And that, my friends, is the best investment you can make. If this type of analysis, where we gut the real economy without complicated words, helps you understand the chaos of the world, subscribe, because there are curves coming in the economy, and here we are going to have the map. See you in the next one.